Hello, folks. I hope you're all doing well. It's about that time of the year where I am working on Christmas music. But I'm not going to subject you to that yet. No, today we're going to look at a song, Bob Dylan tune, called All Along the Watchtower. It's really cool. It's only 3 chords, A minor, F, and G. So stuff you know, and it just repeats those chords over and over again. But I'm going to show you a couple things, a couple ways to kind of spice it up a little bit. Okay, so the pattern is just this. A minor, G, F, back to G. And then it repeats. A minor, G, F, G. We can kind of break it up, we kind of think of it as 2 counts for each chord, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A, G, F, 2, G, 2. Now, the first time I heard this song, my first exposure to the song, was Michael Hedges. Did a cover of this song on a live album, and I mean that whole album just like changed the way I think about guitar and acoustic music. But that song definitely, that version of the song definitely stuck with me, and I'm sure he borrowed a lot from not only Dylan's original, but the Jimi Hendrix version as well. Because if you know Michael Hedges, there's going to be some flippity flips and some dippity dips going on. So even though I don't get that fancy when I play this song, I do kind of throw in some of those more percussive elements that you might get out of a Michael Hedges or like a Khaki King kind of performance. And with these particular chords, it's not too difficult to throw that into the mix. So before we get too deep into that, let's just kind of see what the song sounds like. Right now I'm just starting off with a down, down, up strumming pattern. There must be some kind of way out of here, said the Joker to the thief. There's too much confusion, I can't get no relief. Businessmen, they drink my wine. Plowmen dig my earth. None of them along the line know what any of it's worth. Already I was kind of throwing in some of those extra strums. I just can't help myself. But that's, basically the gist of it. You can keep it slow like that, or you can just plow through those chords and must be some kind of way out of here. Really speed it up and, however you want to do it. But instead of playing all those chords as we may know them, do a couple things to each one of those. One thing that I was doing even here, you might have noticed, I was hitting some open strings during those transitions, right? Lifting my hand up. I'm going to use that kind of vibe as I make some alterations to these chords. A minor isn't a big one. What I'll basically do is kind of like hammer on from the open G string to the 2nd fret. That sounds especially cool with this low G. I'm sure it sounds pretty neat with a high G as well. That's one of the first things that I'll do there. Another thing that I do, when I'm playing this G here, I really like the sound of this open A hammering on to the 2nd fret of the A, because that's how my G is supposed to go. But if I lift up my middle finger, hammer on, creates some nice movement. going from a G9 or G add 9 or a G suspended into my G, it creates some cool movement. It's a little something extra in there, like that. Or sometimes I'll even hammer in on both the C and A strings. But I could also do a little pull off. It's kind of using my middle finger to pull off of that A string from the 2nd fret to open, creating a G add 9 or a G suspended 2nd. And that's kind of getting us into our F chord. It's transitioning us into that F chord a little early, borrowing that note that's already in the F chord. F, same kind of deal. I'll do this open G to 2nd fret of the G a lot. So as I'm playing that F, I've got my index finger on the 1st fret of the E string, and I'm hammering on to the G, to the 2nd fret of that G string with my middle finger. So I strum, and then I hammer that note in. And again, it's just creating a little movement within the chord. It's something that you don't have to necessarily do every time, especially with a song like this that repeats the same chords. You can kind of mix it in and just sprinkle some little flourishes here and there when inspiration strikes. Now, the big one here is this next G that we play, the last in our group of 4 chords. A minor, G, F, this last G. So I could go right back to this G that we know and love, but there's a really funky, weird G that we can use, and that is achievable by just sliding our F chord shape up 2 frets. So move both your fingers up 1, 2 frets, and then play all of those strings. Ooh. It's like a G sus add 9 sort of dilly in there. Creates a neat texture, dreamy. It's giving us that G vibe, kind of letting us get back to, it's sort of pointing us back to A minor, but it's a little ambiguous, and it just changes things up a little bit in a fun way. One thing that I will also tend to do is before I change back to that A minor, I will do a pull off. So it's the opposite of our hammer on, where I'm pulling off of the 3rd fret of the E string to the open string. So I'm going from the F, something like that, before going back to the A minor, kind of blending it together. And then into that guy. Now, the structure of this song, we've got 3 verses. We start off by just playing those chords a couple times. We play A minor, G, F, G. For this example, I'm just playing the instrumental parts 2 times a piece, but you could extend that if you want to, if someone's going to play solos, or if you're going to play solos, or maybe a harmonica solo or something like that over it. You know, you can just play that chord progression as many times as you want in between all the verses. But maybe that's a good place to throw in some of these flourishes. Maybe on the verses, you want to just focus on singing, and that's totally cool. And then in between, maybe that's the place where you can get a little extra fancy. pretty normal. There are many here among us who feel that life is but a joke. Kind of mixing it up when you don't have to think about singing too. So for the strumming pattern, notice how that entire time my hand is just keeping this down up motion. So all I'm doing down. So I'm just keeping my right hand, my strumming hand, moving up and down alternately, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And the only thing that's changing over time is when my strumming hand is making contact with the strings. Getting some of those nifty little extra techniques, hammer-ons and pull-offs, and that funky G right there. Let's just see what it sounds like with the high G. So if you're playing with reentrant tuning, neat. I like where the notes sit. Still ethereal, almost a little bit more fantasy-like with the G up here. Let's play the song and strum along and throw in any techniques that you're comfortable with, and you can always come back to this video after you've worked on some of those techniques a little bit more. You want to try a little something different in here. So let's give it a play. There must be some kind of way out of here, said the Joker to the thief. There's too much confusion Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at tinyvillagemusic@gmail.com. If you're not on my mailing list and you just found this on YouTube and you're like, hey, where's all the sheet music he's talking about, or this and that, you can sign up for the email list. It is free, and I send out PDFs and a nice note every Friday. Yeah, it's free to join, and you're more than welcome. You can go to tinyvillagemusic.com, and there's a drop-down menu under Tiny Village Music that says Free Ukulele Sheet Music. You click through there, and not only is there a bunch of free sheet music for you and your ukulele, but there's also a link to sign up for the mailing list. So, love to have you. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and oh golly, Thanksgiving's just around the corner. Looking forward to some stuffing. All right, folks, take care. I'll talk to you next Friday.